currently, I'm sitting right across the table from a woman who I've just met, and that is Michelle Ernsdorff, who is the founder and director, I assume, of Compass to Care. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Well, welcome to the Heartland.
Thanks.
You've never been here before,
I
you said?
haven't. No, it's fantastic.
Yeah. We can smell those great whole wheat pancakes with blueberries in them and bacon. Turkey bacon, of course. All right, well, enough of that. Michelle, you have some really meaningful little outfit here, and let us talk to us about what is Compass to Care, and I'm going to ask you how you came up with it as well.
Great. So Compass to Care is a childhood cancer foundation, and our mission is to schedule and pay for the travel arrangements that families require to seek cancer care for their children.
Where did this come from?
So I'm a childhood cancer survivor, and I am originally from Dubuque, Iowa, and there wasn't a pediatric oncologist in my hometown. So I ended up being treated at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester. So it's about 208 miles from my parents' home. And so we traveled for 18 months back and forth while I was going through chemotherapy, and it really just wreaked havoc on my family financially. And there was a point where we had gone up, and I was unexpectedly hospitalized, and my father needed to get home. My mom needed to stay with me. They only had one car. They had no money in the bank. So my father couldn't afford a bus ticket or a plane ticket or anything to get home, so he ended up hitchhiking back home.
Wow. What years were these? How old were you when this was?
So I was 14 months when I was diagnosed.
Wow.
Do I need to tell you what year that was?
Sure. No one's going to remember. You're way younger than me. Just let's do it.
Yeah, so it was 1974.
74. So, okay. And what type of cancer did you have?
So I had a kidney cancer called a Wilms tumor.
Okay. Is it normally found in toddlers?
Yeah, it's a very young cancer for children, and I was stage 2, so I ended up having my kidney removed.
Wow.
And then I had radiation therapy, and then, like I said, for 18 months I did chemotherapy.
And so you were operating all well
I've been cured for 35 years.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
and you're operating on one kidney.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
Yay, Mom and Dad.
Yeah, I mean, thank goodness. My mom I had gone to the pediatrician, for my year checkup, and my mom thought my stomach looked a little big, but she asked the pediatrician, and he didn't think it looked abnormal, and I had actually had a 2.2-pound tumor in my kidney.
Whoa.
So, yeah, it had been growing for quite some time.
Whoa. My goodness. Do you have siblings?
I do. So I have an older brother and sister, and then the same month that I was diagnosed, my mom started having morning sickness. And so she called my father and said, I'm pregnant, from the hospital. And my dad said, how do you know? And she was like, it's my 4th child. Like, I know that we're pregnant. And so, that added just such an additional level of complexity, because Here we are traveling, and my mom is,
right,
having a baby halfway through my chemo regimen. So.
And did you remember all those years, the specific trials and tribulations that the travel and the additional cost of that were to your parents? Or how is it that's this much time later? Because Compass to Care is what, a year old?
We're a year old.
All right. What made you start it?
So I don't remember. I mean, I went into remission when I was 3.
Right.
And we traveled consistently to the Mayo Clinic, even beyond my cancer care, because from the radiation therapy, I ended up developing scoliosis. And so we traveled consistently until I was 14, and then I had back surgery when I was 17. But fast forward, I ended up working in the oncology environments, and my parents consistently would tell this story over and over about, how difficult that time was, and
the hitchhiking story.
Yeah, absolutely. And even my mom, when she still talks about it, she like gets teary.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a terrible time in families' lives when their child is going through this, and it's something you never forget. And so I realized when I have been, like I said, working in the oncology environment, that like my parents' story is not that unique. Families struggle like crazy when they're going through this, especially when they have to travel. And There's around 220 hospitals in the United States that actually care for pediatric oncology patients. So if you don't live in a metropolis area,
Right.
you end up having to get in the car, get on a flight to get your child to where the pediatric oncologist is to care for you.
Right.
So
And stay there oftentimes.
and stay there. Yeah.
Right.
You know, we have
I
families.
mean, Ronald McDonald House is developed for just this reason, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And they are amazing. And we work collectively with them. And we are absolutely not trying to duplicate any efforts. We're trying to be complementary.
Sure.
And so most of our families will stay at the Ronald McDonald House. There are instances and locations where there is not a Ronald McDonald House close to the hospital, and so then we end up having to put them, in alternate lodging. But we take care of, if they can stay at the Ronald McDonald House, we take care of everything beyond that. So gasoline, car rental, airfare, parking, meals, taxi fees, whatever else is involved.
So I might have interrupted your storytelling by asking the question. When you said I now work in the oncology environment, and that's what brought you back into proximity with all this, and how did you make the leap from looking around and seeing a problem and then applying yourself to it? How did that?
Oh, wow, that's a good question. So I was actually a marketing VP for a pharmaceutical company.
Another one of those jobs that I just don't get what it means.
Yeah.
Well,
I
my
don't
sister
really
does
get what
that
it means
too.
either, so that's fine.
All right.
And I just, I wasn't feeling that fulfilled in that role, and I thought I have been so fortunate. I mean, the fact that I'm 35 years I've been cured of cancer, and people did not think I was going to live at all.
Right.
And so I just felt like there was such a great opportunity for me to step in and help other families like my parents. Like I said, I still see the sorrow in their eyes, and I thought, if we can alleviate that for some other family, it would be so fantastic. And so I had a friend who's a physician, and I sat down with him one day, and I was like, I'm thinking of this idea of starting this organization. And he was like, I think it's brilliant. I think it's such a great idea. And so from that point, I got our, I was incorporated, and I started writing our business plan, because you have obviously have to have a full plan before you get your 501c3. And so I just decided to build it.
And what does the name Compass, which is spelled like compass that guides you home and where on the road, so it's Compass to Care. How'd you come up with that?
So I felt like a lot of these families are lost, and they don't know how it is that they are going to get where they need to go or to make ends meet. And obviously they're trying to get to where their child needs care, so we're their Compass to Care.
Oh, boy. Let me just say, you are listening to Live from the Heartland on WLUW 88.7 FM, Chicago's Sound Alliance. We're here every week on Saturday morning from 9 to 10. And right now we're talking to Michelle Ernsdorff, who is the founder of Compass to Care, which basically is a year-old organization that helps families whose children have cancer with their travel arrangements primarily.
Yes, correct.
So it's been a year. You're off the ground. You look pretty happy. Does this fulfill you?
Absolutely. As anybody who's started any kind of company or organization, there's definitely struggles in that. But every time I speak to a parent, I realize my struggles are so much less than theirs, and we are really making a difference in their lives.
Yeah. Well, that's fabulous. That's wonderful. So what is your dream? How do people find you? And so you get to give us your website, and also what's your immediate plans, and how do you raise money? I'm sorry, that was about 3 questions at once. First, the website, and then we'll ask, how do you raise money?
So our website is compass2care.org, and that's spelled out the word compass.
COMPASS.
And the word 2, not the number 2, TO, care.org.
Compass2care.org. And so on there, you're informing people of your mission, and you're inviting them to contribute?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a donate button right on the front. If people would like to support us, it'd be fantastic.
So where do you wind up working the most? I mean, what you said before, there's 220 hospitals spread all around across the country, mostly in high-density areas. And I just can't imagine what it's like to be a family out in the boonies.
Yeah.
Where do you wind up this is your central area of operations right here in the Midwest.
Right.
Where do you wind up taking kids from and to the most?
Well, it's interesting. When I initially started this, I thought I could save the world, and I thought, we'll just help everybody. Well, yeah. Then I realized that can't happen. So,
but
we
actually,
have to start
you are
small.
saving the world,
Right.
just in the place that you can hit it.
Right.
Okay.
So we decided to embrace our community as a whole. So we support currently families in Iowa or Illinois that, regardless of where they're traveling, as well as any family coming to one of our hospitals in Iowa or Illinois. Again, I'm from Iowa. I live in Illinois, so I want to make sure that we embraced, the two areas that are I call my home.
Yes.
And eventually we'll expand from there. So we have a lot of children that come into the city of Chicago
Right.
from external places. We also have families that live in Chicago that their story is a little bit longer. Their child's been battling cancer for an extended period of time, and perhaps the physicians here don't feel like they can help them any longer.
Wow.
And so they end up finding clinical trials in other facilities that we end up sending families to. And I'll give you one example. We have a little girl, she's been battling Ewing sarcoma for just about 4 years.
Wow.
She's had her leg amputated, and she's been going through all types of chemo, and really nothing has worked. And so there's a clinical trial in Texas. Well, they can't move to Texas, but she has to be there every Monday for chemotherapy. So
Wow.
they fly every Sunday. They stay at the Ronald McDonald House. They go to chemo every Monday morning, and then they fly back home.
Wow.
And so, like I said, those are some of the more difficult situations. But then we also have, like families from Rockford that drive into Chicago. And
Sure. That's by itself kind of a big deal.
yeah, absolutely. Because for our families, about 60% of the families, at least one parent quits their job. And we tend to have quite a few single parents. So when they end up having to quit their job because their child's not going back to school and their child's consistently in the hospital, all of a sudden they're in this downward spiral financially.
It sounds to me too, Michelle, like you do more than collaborate with, say, a Ronald McDonald. It sounds to me like you are also informing yourself of these trials, the clinical trials that might offer a ray of hope to some of the people you serve. Is that true?
Well, we have a medical advisory council that we reach out to every once in a while, but our core focus is really to focus on travel, getting involved in medical, direction and things like that is really something so beyond our scope.
Okay.
Nonetheless, we do have an amazing council that if we do need to tap into them, for some additional resources or to know what other options are available, we do have that available.
Well, really nice work.
Thank you.
Is there any way that you do charity events to raise money for? Is there something coming up we can talk about?
Yeah, absolutely. So in Chicago, we are having, it's called Living the Dream. It is a charity fashion show, and it is on May 7th at the Doubletree at 300 East Ohio. And why do we call it Living the Dream? Because we've decided that we want to celebrate childhood cancer survivors who are living the dream of the cure. And we also want to bring inspiration and hope to all those children battling cancer that they one day can also be living this dream. And so in our fashion show, we have decided to put all adults and children who have battled cancer.
Excellent. That's excellent. Excuse me. Living the dream of a cure. So it's Saturday, May 7th, downtown at the Doubletree?
Yes.
And they can get information on this on your website?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, one more time, say the website.
Our website is compass2care.org.
Michelle Ernsdorff, changing the world.
Thank you.
Good work.
Thanks.
All right, let's hear it from Michelle, and we will be right back. You're listening to Live from the Heartland, WLUW 88.7 FM.